Hey guys, Teaksy here and welcome back to the channel, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a review of Black Ops Cold War, kind of going through an initial overview to start with, then through sort of some of the things I've liked, some of the things I've not liked, and then at the end I'll kind of give my overall thoughts on the game and how I felt it's been. So I think to start with, I've definitely enjoyed the game, but I think that it's grown on me over the year. I mean, I think that unfortunately there was a lack of content on release, especially around sort of the lack of maps, and I don't think that really helped. And especially with a lot of the maps we got at the start of the game, you know, they weren't that great either. You know, Cartel, Armada, Miami, you know, like really poor maps. And then you had like maps like Checkmate, Moscow, Satellite, which were, you know, okay maps. But when they're mixed in with like those really poor maps, there wasn't really any like standout really good maps to start with. And you know, that really didn't help to start with. And then I think the lack of Warzone content as well was really poor, because obviously they did such a really good Warzone event for like when everyone was like running to the stadium, and then it kind of changed into like the Cold War reveal trailer. That was really cool. And then after that, you know, there wasn't a new map, which I think is what everyone thought there was going to be, like an 80s style map. And I just think, you know, initially when the game first dropped, that's when you want it to be at its best, because that's when the most people are going to be playing it. And I just think it didn't really hit that sweet spot to start with. And I think a lot of the Warzone community, they don't really care. They just stayed on Warzone. And I think a lot of people just either went back to Modern Warfare or just went back to another Call of Duty that they preferred. So I think it didn't get off to a great start. However, I do feel like the game has received quite a lot of hate that it didn't really deserve. Yeah, in terms of things that I've liked, I think that Prestige's returning was a huge thing for me. I don't really know why. I think it's because I kind of grew up through the Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 1, you know, Modern Warfare 3, when there was a proper Prestige system. And when I obviously had a few years out and came back to Modern Warfare, I just hated the fact that on Modern Warfare you went to level 155 each season, then got reset, went back to level 155, got reset. And to me, I just didn't like that. It didn't make any sense. And I know that we get reset in Cold War, but at least each season you've got some new prestiges to grind, and you get new prestige badges. And for me, if we're not going to have an original prestige system, which, you know, I'd love to see the original prestige system return, but I'm not sure if they will return it, especially with the way, you know, kind of do camo grinds now and unlock things. It's a little bit different to how it used to be. But if we're not going to have an original one, I much prefer what we've had in Cold War. I think the only thing they could do better is maybe reward players for playing more during the season. So obviously, I think once you get to level 200, you hit Prestige Master and you hit the max Prestige for that season. And then from there, you can obviously grind up to level 1000, but you don't get anything for it. And I think they could at least maybe reward you when you get to maybe level 250, then level 500, then level 750, and then maybe level 1000, just with some simple rewards. Even if it was just like a one-off blueprint that nobody got. You know, if you got to level 1000 and you got a blueprint, you'd probably be one of the very few people that actually got it, and it would give you a reason to kind of play the game. So I think unless you're loving it, or you're doing a camo grind, or you've kind of got a reason to play, there's not really any need to grind to level 1000, I think, once you hit Prestige Master each season. But I definitely prefer having prestiges than not having them at all. I think the time to kill has been ideal this year. It definitely rewards more accurate and skilled players. Obviously on Modern Warfare, and we're similarly going to have in Vanguard a slightly faster time to kill, which obviously lowers the skill gap. I mean, from time to time everybody gets into a gunfight where they feel they deserve to win and they didn't, or everyone, you know, gets a lucky kill every now and then. But I think in terms of Cold War, it's been a lot less. It's happened a lot less, and I think, you know, it does reward the more accurate and skilled players. I think that the zombies experience this year was absolutely brilliant. It was nice to have a mode where you could kind of go and chill out but still make progression. You know, you could make progression in your levels, and that's like not just your main level but your weapon levels as well. And I think adding the camos in there to grind out camos in zombies was really cool, because, you know, sometimes you want to play COD but maybe you don't want to sweat it out online, and you can just, you know, chill out on zombies with your mates and either go for a high round or just grind some levels. And I just thought it was really good this year. And I think as well, there's been plenty of game modes this year. I mean, obviously the crank modes were cool. I know crank modes are not new in Call of Duty, but the way they kind of did it with the crank hardpoint and stuff this year was really good in kind of the 80s actions hero mode. And then obviously they kept it in from time to time in its own sort of playlist. Control returning and Demolition recently has been really good for me. I love the game mode Control, and also a huge fan of Demolition. And I think as well, like the rapid fire mosh pit that they've got in at the moment, I think they had it on earlier in the year. It's just really cool, like playlist edition and sort of different kind of things. And for myself, I'm not the biggest player of sort of team deathmatch and kill confirmed, and I don't really like search and destroy either. So a lot of the time I'm kind of in domination or hard point, so it's good to have some other modes to play as well. I think as well in terms of the camo grind, it's the first ever one I've done. It hasn't been awful. I mean, I haven't completed it yet. I've still got some of the not so good weapons to do, so maybe I'll change my mind on that as I go. But I've really enjoyed the camo grind so far. I think the only thing I would change if I was Treyarch would, I think the challenges should be down to the player and not down to the enemy. Obviously, you've got a lot of the times on the weapons, you've got the challenge where you have to shoot players that are taking cover from you, and that's kind of out of your control. That's up to how other people are playing. So it would be good to kind of see that get changed, I think, because I think all the challenges should be down to the player and the player's skill and the player's ability. But in terms of a camo grind, I have enjoyed it, and I think it is a little bit easier than sort of Damascus and other bits and pieces. But like I say, I never did those ones, so I can't comment on it from a personal perspective. I can only comment on from what I've seen from what other people have said. Right, I'm now going to move on to my dislikes. Now, this, for me, there weren't as many dislikes as I expected there was going to be. And I'm going to start off with SBMM, obviously skill-based matchmaking. Now, I wasn't going to talk about it because I feel like everybody who plays Call of Duty, it doesn't matter if you're a content creator, a pro, or just somebody who plays the game casually, nobody likes skill-based matchmaking, nobody wants it to be in there, but I think we all kind of know that it's here to stay, and no matter how many times we moan about it, at the moment it just doesn't look like it's going anywhere. To be fair, the only real time that it bothers me is when I'm grinding for camos, because obviously you're using not so good weapons, and even if you play hardcore where it kind of levels the playing field, you still kind of favour somebody who's got maybe a sub or an AR, so that's the only time it really bothers me. I think in terms of, you know, getting better at the game, you know, I think skill-based matchmaking, you know, does help you improve, because if you play better players, you obviously, you know, over time you learn how to take gunfights differently, you maybe think a little bit more tactically. But I think as well with skill-based matchmaking, sometimes you just have to admit it's not your day. You know, I've had days this year where I've logged on, played 4 games and gone, you know what, I'm not playing tonight, and maybe jumped over to zombies or jumped off completely. And I think that's just the way it is with skill-based matchmaking. Every day is different. You know, I don't think lobbies are always bad. I think, you know, you will eventually get lobbies that are good, and there will be times when you're maybe playing good players but you just come out on top. So yeah, I think that, you know, it's frustrating, but the reason I kind of mention this is because I think this game with like the old matchmaking system, and I suppose you could say this about any of the Call of Duties with skill-based matchmaking in, but I really think this game would have been so much more fun. I mean, it's been fun as it is, but the streaks this year have been really good. Obviously being able to overlap streaks has been really good. The maps are proper decent. I know most of them are sort of Black Ops 2, Black Ops 1 maps, but they are good maps and they do work. So I think this game on the old matchmaking sort of system, you would have seen some ridiculous gameplays. But it is what it is. SBMM is here to stay, and we just have to deal with it and get on with it the best we can. Next up is weapon balancing. Now, I don't really want to go on about this too much. I feel like every year weapon balancing is very difficult, and there's always going to be a meta, especially when they kind of release new weapons. You know, if they bring out new weapons, you know, halfway through the year and you've got all the other weapons leveled up, there's absolutely no reason to use the new guns if they're no good. So normally they are pretty overpowered when they first come out, and I think Season 5 is a good example. The Tech 9 and EM2 were absolutely ridiculous when they dropped. Now, I don't know if they've been had anything done to them, but it really doesn't feel like it, and this is what annoys me, is that the whole of Season 5 has basically just been EM2s and Tech 9s, and after a while it does get a little bit frustrating. You know, it can be hard to compete with other weapons, and I think them being good when they first came out was decent, but for the whole of Season 5 it has got a little bit boring, and I think a lot of people have got a bit frustrated over the course of this season with how good those weapons have been. But, you know, I don't want to put them down too bad for weapon balancing, because, you know, every year at some point there's a gun that's OP, and then, you know, they nerf it, they buff something else, that becomes meta. So that's just always the way it's going to be, but I think they could have done something to maybe get on top of the sort of dominance of the Tech 9 and the EM2 a little bit quicker. The next thing's probably the thing I hate most about the game, and that's spawn protection. And, you know, whether or not you disagree with spawn killing or whatever, I just don't agree with spawn protection. You know, the amount of times that I've died, or I've seen other people die this year, where you've got a war machine up and a couple of people spawn in, maybe in the heat of the moment you kind of forget about it, and you fire 3 or 4 grenade launchers into them, and they just stand there and kill you. I just don't think that's how it should be. I mean, I know why they're trying to do it. They're trying to stop people from maybe getting absolutely dominated by kill streaks, but at the end of the day, that's what Call of Duty's been for me. If you've earned a gunship or a chopper gunner or whatever, you should be able to rain down absolute terror on the other team. I don't care. You know, people have always got the option to leave if they want to. But yeah, for me, spawn protection is one of the worst things that's ever been in Call of Duty, and I really hope they get rid of it. But I feel like the way COD's going these days, you know, maybe trying to sort of help the not so good players, the lower bracket, you know, it is something that maybe will stay in, but I really do hope they get rid of it, because it is just so frustrating, and I just don't understand it. If you don't like it, you can leave, so I don't see why, you know, you have to punish good players for getting, you know, big kill streaks. And coming on to the score streak system, This is kind of in the middle. It's not really a dislike. It's not really a full like. You know, there's things I've liked about it and things I've not liked about it. So I think initially I don't really care if we have kill streaks or score streaks. I think score streaks are a little bit better just because obviously you can get score from capping flags and planting bombs, and I think it just encourages people to play the objective a little bit more and move around. I think when it's a kill streak system, you know, it can encourage camping sometimes. You know, we've all been there where maybe we're one off a streak and we're like, oh, I need one more kill, and you kind of sit in a corner or something. I just think with score streaks, it obviously helps out a little bit with maybe players who don't get as many kills, but it does encourage people to play the objective and move around a bit, which I think is really important. But I do think what they did this year did make it a little bit too easy. Now, I don't fully understand the system, but every time you die, in my opinion, it should always reset, and I feel like it doesn't on this game. And if you're a decent player, at least up to sort of harps and strafe runs, you can basically get them every game if you've got them on, like the war machine. I think chopper gunner, veto, they're a little bit more, you need a little bit more skill, you need to go on much bigger streaks for those, but I think the other ones you can naturally get in a game. You know, even if you die quite a bit, you'll get them. And the other problem you get is that if you're in a lobby of players that, you know, kind of know what they're doing, by the end of the games, especially in like 12v12, everybody's got streaks. There's, you know, the last 2 or 3 minutes of a game can be really unenjoyable, really painful, because you've got people that have got napalms coming in, artilleries, cruise missiles, there's war machines, there's attack helicopters, there's everything you can think of is going on. And I think they just made it a little bit too easy. And for me, I'm all about encouraging and trying to help maybe players that aren't maybe able to get certain streaks. I'm all for kind of helping them in the way of doing it via score streak system, but it should reset when you die, because this year it just made it a little bit too easy. And the other thing that really frustrated me about score streaks this year was the air patrol. Now, the air patrol is, I think, about 2,600 score. It's really not difficult to get, and it's so overpowered. It can take out a harp, it can take out a strafe run, a chopper gunner, whatever it may be. It can literally take anything out, and for me, that's just not how it should be. I mean, if it's going to be that powerful, it should be a higher score to get it, so that you've kind of deserved to get it to take someone else's streak out. But if it's going to be such a small score, it should either mean you need to take 1 or 2 of them to take things out, or it just shouldn't be able to touch certain things. You know, you've never been able to take out like advanced UAVs and stuff in previous games, so I don't know why they've did it this year. And it just, for me, it was just frustrating because it's so easy to get, and I feel like a lot of people run it, and it just kind of gives you no reason to go for high streaks. If you go for a chopper gun and you manage to get like 8,000 score, just for someone to literally instantly call the air patrol in and you just get taken out straight away, I mean, what's the point? That's not fun for anybody, is it? It's not enjoyable. So I think they should have sorted that out. You know, it was just too overpowered, and like I say, I've used it so much recently, the air patrol, and I just use it to protect myself. If I've got a harp up and another team tries to air patrol it, I'll call mine in to destroy their air patrol. But then if you're playing against a team of 2 or 3 players who know what they're doing, they've all got air patrols on. People know how the game works. So, you know, for me, score streaks this year were good, but they just made it a little bit too easy for people to get him, and the air patrol, in my opinion, was way too overpowered. But overall, guys, I've really enjoyed the game, and I'm definitely going to miss it once Vanguard comes out. Whether I jump back on the game for content reasons or just to play it off screen for a little bit of fun, I'm definitely going to be returning to this game in the future. I think that it was much better than Modern Warfare 19's multiplayer experience, and for me it was a lot more fast paced, and I was really surprised that it got as much hate as it did. I mean, at the end of the day, there are things about the game that I don't like, but every Call of Duty you play, there's things that people don't like. You know, you're never going to please everyone, but I just can't believe how many times I see people rank Cold War as, like, you know, people do these tier lists and you see Cold War literally at the bottom of it, and I'm just like, I mean, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but it's just incredible how much of the community have not liked this game. Because for me, although there are a few things that maybe aren't brilliant, I've enjoyed it. I think sticking with it was a great decision. I think it has definitely got better as the years gone on. I know a lot of people moan that it's kind of a soft reboot of Black Ops 1/Black Ops 2 because we've got so many maps from those games in the game now, but no, for me, regardless of the maps being from Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, I don't care. They're good maps, they work well with the game, and for me, you know, it's been a really enjoyable game, and on a personal note, I'm definitely going to miss it. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video, something a little bit different, and if you did enjoy it, please do hit the like button down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. You know, if you agree with me, disagree, please let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys think about the game. And if you are brand new around here and want to find your way back for more, please do consider subscribing to the channel. I've got lots of videos coming up over the next month or so in the lead up to Vanguard, and I will have a Season 6 preview video out soon where I'll kind of go through what my plans are for the channel over the next month. And as always, guys, I hope everyone has a great day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.